One of the hindrances why we're not doing any manuals anymore for shadow casting is the fact that we have computers to use, but before we could actually do the casting, we have to do the model of it in a computer. In the world of design, that kind of hinders us to making studies, quick studies of, say, forms that you would like to investigate on. So it takes more time to actually do those things. Here, I'm showing you some probable form situations where you could use this as an exercise to kind of know the principles of shadow casting before you could move on to, say, something more complex. I'm going to shadow plot this set with its shadow casting plotting with a very simple formulation. My light direction is going to be 45 degrees. So the plotting of the shadow casting for this one is going to be parallel to the picture plane or the horizon line. Since there's no horizon line, this is an isometric set of drawings. So I'm going to be setting this, my shadow direction, to be horizontal, and of course the vertical edge. So these are going to be color-coded as such. So let's start with the simplest here. First, I'm going to color code the vertical, what is going to be the vertical edge, followed by the shadow direction, which is going to be horizontal. And then, of course, the light direction is going to be 45 degrees. So the vertical plus the shadow direction line is going to be the same length. You can check. So that's the first steps. So I'm going to continue on with the first volume, which is this. So you need to kind of separate each one before you could actually plot in the entire form, which is comprised of two volumes, this one on the ground and this one cantilevering. Of course, you can use colored pencils for this if you don't have any colored marker pens. Of course, the light direction is going to be parallel to each other. And then we can shade. First, the volume. This is parallel to this. So this edge's shadow casting is this on the ground. Then for this volume, what we're going to be doing is the same procedure, except now we are going to project it downward to the ground first so that we know where the edges are. So it's going to be this. I'm going to put in some dash lines, pencil in if you want to. Then I'm going to be projecting the light direction, which is parallel to the existing one, which is 45 degrees. Extend these. Once they're plotted, do a 30-degree line. If you're not sure about that parallel line to the existing volume, you can always take a pencil and take a look and check. Then for this edge, of course, the shadow casting is going to be here. You can use your pencil, plot that shadow cast, and then the edges, this edge's shadow shall be here because it's the topmost. Now you want to determine where this is because this is a void underneath. So in order to do that, you need to first plot this light direction. And now you need to find out where your shadow direction for that is. Now you will use this point to actually project where it stops. So I'm going to replicate the angle, which is the edge for the isometric here, going here, and going towards this direction. And it hits here. So this is going to be a void area. If we shade this, we have the shadow edge there, all the way here. So that's a shadow casting. But here, it's a void, so there's nothing blocking the light. Because we determined that by using this. It hits here, and that's the edges, this point's shadow casting. The edges of this volume is going to be projected over here. First, I need to project the shadow direction, which is horizontal. Then from this point, where they intersect these two volumes intersect, I'm going to use that to project the light direction. Now where they meet or intersect, I project a line going all the way until it hits this edge. I'm going to use red to note that. Until it hits this. So it's parallel to this isometric line going here. And when it hits that, that is where I will plot these 2 points, that and here. So that's the shadow cast of this volume onto this second volume. Now I can shade that. It's sort of like the same situation here, where if you project this point and do this 45-degree angle where it hits here, so where it hits here, that's the shadow cast for this edge onto this volume. And then you can shade that in. For this one, this part here, is that you need to project it down first, a vertical line, do the shadow direction, then do the light direction. When that those two intersect, you project a line here to this edge, then you can connect both points, both points. So that's the shadow cast of this volume over to here. Now you can verify this by doing first the shadow direction, same length, do the light direction, and then project that over there. So that's the shadow cast of this volume onto the ground. And similarly, of course, you need to do the same thing, what was done here, over to this, because this is like a cantilever volume part of this form, and it's going to be casted somewhere here. This point's shadow point is here, because we did the vertical and shadow direction. And then that portion here is up to this point. So that's 45 degrees. So the shadow cast of this one is this. So you could name it as A, and this is A. This portion here, which I call B, so B's shadow cast line onto this face is actually this. Now you can try out these things yourselves and try out with similarly to areas where, you know, the same thing is happening. This whole thing is happening also here. So these are just warm-up exercises that you could probably do, just a simple form, and probably we can even download this file of this so that you could actually do them yourselves now. So another way of doing an exercise of this is that what if you start casting the shadow in the opposite direction, if the light direction is going there instead. Why do this is that you can study instantly the shadow casting of any form that you're probably trying to design for architecture. Of course, this is based on information also where the location of the place is in relationship to where the sun or time of year. So I'm hoping that, you know, you get to practice a bit more of this type of shadow casting. Of course, this is the simplest one, which is parallel to the picture plane. There's also other types of shadow casting was covered in my previous video. So once you get used to this, you don't need to color code everything anymore, and just do it directly. So you can do this quite instantly without the reliance of any computer.